Hello, Facebook. Or well, actually, hello, YouTube. Let's see here, share Facebook. Hello, YouTube and Facebook. So what I did was I shared it, and hopefully I'm going live on Facebook as well, since I shared it, and I'm just waiting for Mr. Ramone Jackson to come on. We're going live. So let me check something out here. They have to click the link. So what I'm gonna do is okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Brown Sugar Amplified. I just want to come on before Mr. Ramone Jackson came on, but I see that he is in the waiting room. So we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. I was going to talk a little bit about white fragility, but that's going to be for maybe tomorrow. Peace and love. So let's bring on Mr. Ramone Jackson.
Hello.
Here, hold on one second. Okay. So just getting a little bit of feedback. Hello, Mr. Ramone Jackson. How are you doing tonight? Welcome to Brown Sugar Amplified.
How you doing, sister?
I am good. Thank you. We had a little glitch there. Don't worry, I can delete all of that before I officially post the video. So right now we are live on YouTube, and I shared it on my Facebook, the link, so that people could tune in over here. Something was going on with Facebook. I don't know if there's too many people on, but it usually takes me immediately to go on live, and it wouldn't. So we are live on YouTube right now, and I shared it on the Facebook page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag you on that link. But anyway, Mr. Ramone Jackson, and as you guys know me already, I am Crystal Rain Brock, activist, poet. You know, I wear many hats. But what I like to do is introduce Mr. Ramone Jackson. He is a community activist here in Detroit, Michigan. He knows and is just so much information. And what I'd like to have you do, Mr. Ramone Jackson, is to speak about your organization. First of all, what is the name of your organization, and what are you all about?
The name of our organization is the Pressure Movement, and the Pressure Movement is an extension of the Civil Rights Movement. Everything we fight is provisions that was passed down, was fought for, and was actually accomplished during the Civil Rights Movement. So we extension of that. We fighting in those same spirits, but we fighting the provisions that was there, that was put into place, that never ever even been accounted for, and never ever made it to our communities since then. That's what the Pressure Movement is about, and that is grant money that's coming to us from the federal government to attack poverty. That's funding coming to attack homelessness. That's funding coming to give job placement, business expansion, development, curb crime, curb mass incarceration. It's been funding earmarked to hundreds of African American communities going back to the 1960s. This funding hasn't been making it to us.
Okay. And so before we get into the funding, what I want to talk about, because we were talking about this over the phone, which is voting. So right now, just due to our climate, and the reason why I want to talk about voting initially is because that's what you're seeing and hearing the most on social media, even in the news. But I want to talk to you about that because you explained it so well. So you hear everybody say vote, but how can us as people of color make their vote count? And some may find that question funny, but I want you to explain why I'm asking that question. So how can we make our vote count?
Thank you for asking that question too, sister. because I have been trying to engage our people and have an intellectual conversation for years about scientifically voting. Because if we do not scientifically vote, we will never ever make our vote count. I'm gonna give you an example. We 13% of the overall U.S. population, and 13% meaning that we don't got enough majority of the population to actually elect a national president. Because because we don't have the majority. But what we do is we have majority in small towns or large cities. And when we got majority in those large cities, that enables us to elect mayors, judges, state reps, and federal reps. Now, our federal reps goes to Washington and represents our interests in Washington. We got 45 federal reps that represents 40 million African Americans in this country. It's 535 people in Congress that represents 328 million people. 45 represents the 40 million African Americans. They are voted in by us.
Okay.
Now we don't have enough power being 45 out of 535 to actually change laws on a federal level. But this is where our power come in as African Americans. Whoever we give our 45 to, whatever party, whether they Democrat or Republican, they becomes the majority in Congress. And once you become the majority in Congress, that means you control Congress. That means you pass laws. That means you elect electors to elect the president. We have been blindly giving our 45 to the Democratic Party for years without getting nothing in return. I'm going to give you an example right now real quick. It's 233 Democrats in the House to 197 Republicans. 45 of them is African Americans. You remove the 45 from 233, you get 188, meaning that the Democrats do not outbeat the Republicans.
No, of course.
So the black vote is what's making the Democrats control the House. And the black vote is going to make the Democrats be able to put Joe Biden in. And we're not going to get, if we don't demand nothing from that, we're going to keep getting nothing from giving that freely to the Democratic Party. That's how we scientifically vote, by holding our U.S. reps accountable. It's 45 of them. They get to pick 45 electors that's going to cast the vote on behalf of the 40 million black people.
Wow. So really, we need to concentrate on voting people into Congress, basically, Congress or the Senate, trying to get control of that. And then that's how we're going to win.
That's right. We got people in there. We got to hold them accountable. It's 45 of them in there already voted in by us. And we not, when we go out and vote popularly, but we don't even ask them to demand nothing for they vote to actually put the president. Because once you get to the last two candidates, it's going to come down to the electors. And the electors is the 535 in Congress all get to pick an elector. That's what comes. So what happens is, if it's more Democrat out the 535, most of the time they become a president. The only way Joe Biden don't become the president this time is if 40-something Democrat pick Republican electors that will not vote in the way. That's the only way he ain't the president. So they got 288 to the Republicans, 243, and that's solely because the black all giving they vote to the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Now the change. Now go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Now and they have to go, if we want to stop police brutality in this country, they have to demand something for that 45 on behalf of our people. That's how we scientifically vote.
Okay. That's interesting, because all you've heard is go out and vote, go out and vote. But the vote, the true election that means something is the one that people don't really go out and vote in. And those are your local. They go, oh, well, this
Your
one doesn't
local.
matter. It's the one that comes in November is the one that matters. And they don't realize who gets elected for your local officials is extremely important.
Well, the local officials for Black people is so important because it's the only tax dollar that we can directly control. Like, you got local, state, and federal taxes that we all pay. And you got to have the majority in the state in order to control the state government. We don't have the majority in not one state in this country. Blacks not the majority in no state in the country. We only the majority in cities. And so that enables us to control the mayors, which that controls the local dollar. And we not taking advantage of that. We not redistributing that local dollar, then selecting U.S. reps that can go strictly to Washington and come together to 45 and say, look, whatever party that's going to provide something for our people, that's who we're going to lean our vote on. Let me give you an example of how it's a mockery of our people. H.R. 40, which is the bill to study reparations for African Americans, it's been holed up in the subcommittee for 30 years. They won't pass it. They won't send it out the subcommittee to the House to vote on the reparation bill. John Conyers been introducing it since 1989 until recently. Now the subcommittee been a Republican subcommittee, so we understand why they didn't majority, so why they didn't pass it, because they was Republicans. We ain't been voting for them. But now the subcommittee switched to a predominantly Democratic subcommittee, and they still won't let the reparation bill out the Democratic subcommittee to the Democratic House. But we about to go give 45 votes to them to make them beat the Republicans.
Yeah, okay.
And we not demanding that. That's why laws not enacted throughout all the country in order to curb and to deter police brutality. That's the only way that can happen, is that come from the federal level. It's too many predominantly white communities throughout this. It's thousands of them. Every time we leave a predominantly Black community, we ride out everywhere surrounded by predominantly white communities. And everywhere we go to, all sides, we go into. So we don't know when we running across, when the lights is being pulled on us by another officer like Chauvin. The only thing that can protect us from that is that it's laws that will deter them from doing that. And that has to come from the federal level. And them 45 has to be there on the spot saying, look, Democrats, if we're going to get this 45 to y'all, we making y'all the majority. We giving y'all the power. So if we giving y'all the power, give our people something in return for giving y'all the power.
Exactly.
Because y'all got the power to make laws. That's scientifically voting, sister.
Exactly, because we don't have
to teach this. So,
no, go ahead.
I said that's what we have to teach to our people. That's why I've been out constantly beating the pavement. I got something that I'm publishing right now called the Black America Report. It has all the details of how to scientifically vote. It got a political pyramid that we created to show the levels of government, to explain them in layman terms. Politics applies to our people. Don't matter what you think. If you don't know that politics applies, if you don't apply politics to you, politics gonna apply everything to you. So you gotta apply politics, because politics control everything around us. Policing is controlled by politics. Funding is controlled by politics. All that.
That's true. So when we do move out, you brought up a really good subject when you said when Black people move out to predominantly white neighborhoods. Now I'm in the suburbs, but where I'm at now is I won't say predominantly, but typically in the past it was considered a white neighborhood, but it's more African American. You have more African Americans every day moving in, and pretty much I'm not sure if I could say it's 50-50 at this point, but possibly close with where I'm at. But you brought up a good thing, because when you said Black people moving to white neighborhoods. And then you brought up, we don't know if we're going to encounter another Chauvin. And that's just the thing. It's almost as though, and you were bringing up something about power. And I wonder with us, not having much power in the African-American community, and then when you move to a predominantly white neighborhood, do you have any power at all? Because a lot of people think when they move up, and this is what sometimes athletes and superstars, you may be looked at as slightly different, but when it comes down to it, when you try to exert a say or exert, true ownership when it comes to these communities that are not predominantly people of color, but predominantly white, you quickly realize how little power you have.
That's a very good point. When our power as Black people is to stay together in one community, and the reason is when we together, we elect we the majority in any city. We can elect our own mayors, who elect our own chiefs, who controls our police force. So then we don't got to worry about hiring people that will be like Officer Shaw. We don't got to worry, but because we controlling the hiring, the police force coming from amongst us. It's Black. It's an all Black community. But when you move, you divide yourself. Not only do you divide yourself from that protection of being able to control your policing by controlling your government, but you take your tax dollar and you dump your tax dollar into all white pots where you not represented because you the minority. And that pot is only being represented by the majority. They are first. So if you 10%, they gonna represent the 90%.
Exactly.
That's who controlling that. So that's what, and not only that, we divide our voting power. See, the 13% only strong when we together. But when you scatter the 13% out, we no longer can come together, and we no longer got a community where we can elect state officials, where we can elect U.S. officials. Because look, Donald Trump just passed a law in 2018 saying that now you can only have one United States rep per every 700,000 people. So
wow.
What's gentrification about? Right. Guess what, sister? When they started with that law in the 1700s, it was one rep per 30,000 people. It done jumped one rep per 700,000 people. So what communities do you really know that Black people got 700,000 people in?
None.
Right. So they're trying to strip us of our national representation. And they doing it right now as we speak by gentrifying us, pushing us into pushing the 13%, spreading it out. It's dangerous.
It is. It is. And I'll back that up with just an example of how that can work, because even though I grew up my whole life where I live, and even I'm an alumni of the school, I was still seen as an outsider, which for me was like, what do you mean? And yes, there's all these new people, and like they thinking I'm new, and I'm looking at them like, no, you're new. Like I was like, I've been around here my whole life. You're new here. But when I started getting involved and doing things, and because that's what I'm used to doing, I was big into volunteerism back in school. I was in quite a few things. So why would I not do that and want to be an active participant for several reasons in my child's education and life? And, there were comments like, they didn't think I heard these comments. They tried to whisper them, but things like, oh, well, why don't you just do what the rest of them do? The rest of them? Or it was like, how dare she? Or what gives her the authority? Not, mind you, no one's decided to talk to me and find out that I have 2 degrees, find out that my life changes because I've decided to be the parent, which is different, because women, we usually do. We decide to take a step down, take a step back once we have kids, and it's like someone has to be the parent and let the other person continue. And that's what my choice was. But it was just, it's a great example of what you're talking about, of like just a kind of stay in your place. We're letting you live here. And I'm looking at them like, you're not letting me anything. I pay my money, whether I'm renting or doing a mortgage, you know, you're not letting me anything. It's almost as
Right.
though they don't think you have the right when you have several rights.
Oh, well, you definitely have the right. But what's happening is, you know, the people, politicians represents the majority, and that's who they go for. So if blacks scattered out, that's just like Detroit. Detroit seen a decline in probably about 400,000 people in the last 12, 13 years. Now, them people didn't go nowhere but surrounding communities. Places like Taylor, Wixom, Canton, Westland, all those places, if you look at the demographics in 1990 or even in 1995, 2000, they seen a double to 5 time increase in black population. These communities that once upon a time we couldn't even go in. So explain why we were so welcome, because every time you sent him, you got 10%, 19% in Westland,
Exactly.
19% in Taylor. It broke up our black vote. Now they 19 out of 100. So they don't got enough control to put council members in or mayors.
Nothing.
So that 19% of people just dumping money into that pot with no redistribution. And then you go to the next state, 19%. They do that. I'm talking about these guys is right across the street from each other, and now they can't even vote together.
Exactly.
You got Taylor, and right out here you got Westland. You got right over here you got Dearborn Heights, and that's how they breaking us up, breaking that 13% up. And then years later, you ain't gonna have 45 in Congress to sway that vote.
No.
Because the population gonna be scattered, and they ain't gonna have to even never represent us. That's why gentrification for black, that's what gentrification means for blacks. It's not moving us out of these communities. It's destroying our black voting power. 13% only strong together. But if you spread it, it becomes what? Dust. And that's what gentrification gonna make it, dust.
And that's the real. That is the real. So
Yeah,
let's go on to this.
Real.
It's defund the police. You know, many don't understand that. Do you agree with defunding the police?
I absolutely 100% agree with defunding the police, and I wish to explain why. The police only, crime is only at a all-time high based on social conditions. So if you never ever change social conditions, you never ever stop crime. If you want to stop crime, you change social conditions. So you take money from that you put spending on allegedly stopping crime, and you invest them in social conditions, and it's going to automatically stop crime. So I totally agree. That's just like right now they put money and start giving, and this little money, and crime been sort of dying.
Oh.
when you put money, look, and it's not even no money, but you put money into a community, crime automatically go down. You take from the community and it don't. So they invest money into policing and not into social conditions. So crime never stops. So they continue to invest money, continue to suck money up. I disagree with funding the police to the level that it is.
Oh yes, I agree
Tackle
too.
the social conditions. Detroit.
I agree too.
I want to tell you something about Detroit. Detroit got our schools got a separate police force. And we fought this. We got a campaign called Free to 10. They taking $10.5 million every year out of our school fund. I'm talking about a felon, dilapidated schools. I'm talking about outdated curriculum, everything. But they taking $10.5 million, and they got their own separate Detroit public school police department. They got their own chief of police that makes six figure, their own deputy chief. They got their own whole force, a whole brand new state-of-the-art facility that look better than all the schools, because they gearing us up to keep us engaged in crime, because they keep money going, keep funding going, to keep crime going. But
Wow.
yeah,
So they
that's
took from the schools to build this facility. And then instead of funding the communities, like with programs and computers where it should really be going. And I do agree with you on defunding the police, because if it's not helping to keep funding them and funding jails just to store more people so that you can make
that's
money,
right. It's not
the
helping.
government can make
Yeah.
money, that does nothing for the community, tearing it down.
Well, actually, we fund the police.
Oh, yeah.
For real. The taxpayers do. The city of Detroit, poor residents get a mayor $1 billion every year in taxes. 455 million of that money go to police. And they don't even know. A lot of times we paying police to harass us. We literally paying them. That's why when the police ride down my street, I come right outside when they creeping down, just looking. You not about to definitely do this to us. Man, we not about to, man, you making a joke out of we paying you to harass us? Is you crazy? Now you do your job, but you're not about to stalk us and we pay you to do that. $455 million out of our budget goes to policing. They don't get their money from nowhere but us. When we pay all our taxes to our city government, they take half of that money and pay the police. That's why we don't got nothing else, because most of our money going to policing. So I definitely disagree with that. That's why if a mayor supposed to definitely, hey, look, they run the whole police budget because they come from the people. Every government executive got a police force. The president's police force is the military and the feds. The state governor's police force is the state police. The mayor's police force is the local police. They control it. The funding that your local dollars is paying for the local police. Your state dollars paying for the state police. Your federal dollars paying for the federal. We paying these people to do the things they do to us. We paying for that. And it's a mockery when we pay for them to hunt us down like that. That's a joke. They pull up on, I tell black men, listen, you can walk down this street. It's not probable cause because you black, they can pull you over. It's crazy. And we paying them to do that. You literally work for us. Or everybody who pay a house utility taxes, that's straight. We're going to take half of this and go straight to policing. That's what they doing with our money. So we got to know politics as a people. See, when you know politics, you know you control the police. Why you control the police? You paying for them. You're paying for them. The only thing that go wrong is when we go into all white towns, we not paying for them local police. The white community pay for them, just like in this all black community of Detroit, we pay for the police in here. That's why we can hire whatever polices we want. We can't do that in them other white towns because the local people pay for the police and they hire their own police. That's why federal laws got to go down to them in order to deter police brutality by these all-white police forces, which is thousands of them throughout the country.
Wow.
So go ahead, sister.
Now, you did bring out something like we pay them to harass us. And, a lot of the reform that needs to happen and a lot of incidents, we're now hearing about it more and more, about how people were illegally strip searched on like the side of roads and things of that sort. And I look at that as a rape. I'm sorry, if you don't find anything in my car and you decide to strip my clothes from me and then pin me down while you go someplace you should not be at, I'm going to consider that rape. And that did happen to two women. One was on the West Coast, and I can't remember where the other one was. And nothing's happening to the offers. They feel like they had just cause, and it was like there was no cause. If you find nothing and take it to those extremes, and when you think that's where your tax dollars is going, like you said, and then people don't understand why people are so angry. It's like, we're not paying you to treat us as though we're not human, especially people in the African-American community who law enforcement has basically been trained for years to target them because they are Black. They are committing a crime because they are Black. They're committing a crime because they are Black in the wrong neighborhood, just for, like you said, walking down the street that you have every right to walk down the street or go jogging in. And, it breaks my heart because I hear several African American people, young, like my age and younger, who love to run, and they say, I don't run anymore because of Aubrey. Now, you being African American male, what do you think, like the most recent incidents? Because we've had these incidents before. Some people are like, well, we don't have this problem in Detroit. No, we've had this problem in Detroit. It's just that when it happened,
What we, we
for
have
certain things.
look, these problems constantly go on. Like, it's been other incidents that has transpired with police since Floyd died.
Oh yes,
since George Floyd's death. So they constantly, that's not deterring them. That's why we got to come up with solutions to this problem. And the solution is they got to be deterred. Remember, I told you, we can't, when you ride out, if you stay in a predominantly black city, you can't stay confined to your city, because now you in jail. So when you ride out, you going into a predominantly white city. And as I said, you don't pay taxes there. You don't control the government through electing your officials. So they got a lot of white elected officials who hire all white policing. So what they're going to deter, how they going to know that whether or not they hiring a guy with a racist intent, especially if he had it? The only thing we can do is pressure the 45 in Congress to get stiff laws enacted that's going to trickle down to all these predominantly white local municipalities, that is going to set up deterrence for police brutality. And deterrence is, they know you ain't going to get away with doing this. You ain't going to have your pension. You ain't going to have your life the same if you do this. It got to be stiff deterrences for that. That's the only safeguards that we got in us to stay in our own communities where it's predominantly black, where we elect our own officials and we pick our own police chiefs and hire people from our community to police our community. And we don't worry about that. That's our safeguard as a black people.
Yes. Now, you brought up something good about deterrence, because although Chauvin, they're going to jail for however many years they go, I don't expect them to serve full time. But he still has rights to whatever he had before, which is, like you said, his pension. He's going to start getting, I don't know, I think after 10 years or so, after so many years, when he hits a certain age, he'll still start getting his $55,000 payout for however much he's paid in, or however that works. And they've paid for as long as he's been on the force. As long as you have to hit, and it's almost funny because when you start hitting some of them where it hurts, is that money?
That's right.
You got to hit them in the money.
That's right. Big Gregory made a good point in that. He said, make them take away their license and take away their money, take away their whole livelihood. Because you make them pick between being racist and their livelihoods, all the bills they got, the wives they got, the kids in college, the fees they got, the mortgages they got, and put that all at risk. A person to think twice about a racist view.
The apologies start to happen. Oh, my job, I posted this by accident. I didn't mean to post this racist rant. But now you about to be fired and lose a whole bunch of stuff. I'm sorry. And there are no more apologies. I'm like, no, you got to feel it.
It got to be, it got to be, you got to make them feel it. And got to be, and the only way that can happen, because we can't make every mayor and city council throughout this country. It's thousands of city change. They all laws in they all white communities. The only way you can change a law that's trickled down to all communities is if it comes from the federal level. We can change a law in Detroit to do that because we got a predominantly black community and we got a predominantly black elected official. So we can pressure them. We got enough people to pressure them to make laws that benefit black people. But how you talking about a community that's 100% white? They're not about to enact no laws to benefit black people.
And that is true. That's true, because I see that.
But the federal government, once they put a federal law down, it already trickled down to all the communities.
True, a little bit, because there's something, and it's just checking where the funding is going, like what you said. So there's a community one that I've known about for several years. And they kind of stand on their own, but they don't stand on their own. But it's predominantly people of color. And it's to me, they were always made to feel as outsiders. And they're not really outsiders because their tax dollars go to, the school districts and, who knows where else they go.
They not outsiders. They not outsiders at all because they dumping into the pot with everybody else. But the problem is the problem is in doing that is that you can't select somebody of your choice. It's like this. The city of Detroit, Atlanta, all these predominantly Black communities, every year annually, they got billions of dollars in budgets. Atlanta 2.2, Detroit close to 2 billion. Most of the money is coming from the poor Black residents in them cities. And they don't know that they are funding these cities. And they don't know they funding these cities. If they knew that, they don't know that the whole city is being funded clearly off the back of their dollars. And any money coming from the state to them and the feds to them is still off the back of their dollars. Because from the time your mother and father give you a couple of dollars to go to the store, you start paying taxes on everything.
Oh yes.
From the time your mama and stuff, you start paying tax. So we dumping into all the pots. So when they send federal money, it ain't federal money. It's a cut of our federal money that we've been dumping into the federal pot.
Yes, and they want the money, but not you. It's like they love Black culture. They love what comes from Black culture, but they don't want Black people. And that's the thing. I use another, again, where I'm at as an example, because again, we want you seen, but not heard. We want your dollars to come over this way to benefit us, but not really give you back anything and then ignore you. That's why I'm like, it's angry. It gets you angry because I'm going, you make these people feel like as though they're outsiders when their funds benefit you and your kids, and you don't think they have a say. You don't want to invite them to anything. You want to treat them as outsiders, and they have true ownership. And when I heard a lady who's was from the community, and she was like, "Oh, I'm an outsider." I'm like, "You're not an outsider. Depending on what street you're in. If you're in district and you own your house, even if you're a renter, because there's renters tax, that money is going to that school. If your kids are going to that school and you're volunteering." Or whatever you're putting in, and you're sending dollars for these charities, whatever that the kids are doing, you are giving
utility taxes. You paying utility taxes. Everything, and whatever city you live in, that's where your income tax out your check is going to that local government. You is dumping heavily. You giving more. That local mayor is literally getting to cut out your check.
They are.
Yeah, but see, what we got to understand as Black people is that we got to come back to predominantly Black communities. That's the only way that your tax dollar can represent you. That's the only way you can have a direct say in that tax dollar. Because if you in a community and y'all 10% Black and 90% white, the whites gonna have they got the pot. They not catering to the 10%.
And they will let you know.
If you gonna cater to 9 or you gonna cater to the 1. You're gonna cater to the 9 because they the majority. The 1 is expendable. That's how they feel. That's why you gotta come where you appreciate it, where you one with everybody. Y'all one community. Anytime you in a community like that, they got a demographic for a reason. The demographic means this is these people, this is these people, and this is these people. When you go to Detroit, you become, or whatever predominantly Black community, you become a part of the majority. They got a demographic for a reason. If it was 1, it would just be 1.
Exactly. You are absolutely right.
Yeah. So we got to come back. And I encourage people to move back to our communities. That way, we don't have a problem with police. Anytime you in predominantly white communities and anybody listening in, we always run that risk of running into these individuals. Rather, it don't even got to be police. It can also be citizens like the brother did when he was jogging. You don't run that risk of running to that when you in an all black community. Somebody chasing
Yes.
you down, talking about you trying to kill. Now we do have violence in our community, but let me say this: our murders is mostly people know what's going on and they stemming from something. There ain't just nobody running down the street and you gunned them down and jumped in no truck and you don't even know this person. If they normally doing that in the black community, they got a beef with each other about something.
Exactly.
For somebody to act like that, to jump in the truck and hunt you down, that's somebody you got a problem with. That ain't a stranger jogging. Okay. You understand
No, I
what I'm
understand.
saying?
No, I definitely,
Yeah, and I'm
yes,
not
I
saying that
do.
we don't hurt each other. Now, I'm not saying that we don't hurt each other. But for the most part, when you see some black men that jumped in the truck, chase somebody down and shoot him down, they ain't did that to no stranger just running down no street.
Exactly. So that was one of the things, because after we had a rally in the community, and one of the things I had put down on the paper was just what you basically said: everyone to treat everybody as their neighbor, as one, as that we are one community. Not that I can be friends with the good black person over here because they don't make too much noise, and not this black person over here because they tend to make noise, tend to be involved, tend to speak their mind. And you should try to appreciate everyone for what they offer and bring to the table. And I said, instead of having it be this side, that side, our side, just be one. Especially when
Well,
money
you
is
know,
going to one same
one
place. You're
pot.
giving money to one same entity.
But see, it's we want that. That's a perfect world. But we want that to be like that. But it's like this. Remember I say the 90%,
Yes.
they also, not only is they majority of the money coming in, but they carry the voting weight too. So
Exactly.
they carry everything. So the 1% is like, I wouldn't dare try to cater to them and make the 90 mad. That's, you know what I'm saying? And if I cater to the one, I'm going to make the 90 mad.
That's true.
That's
That
the
is true.
problem
Oh,
that we run
yes, you're
into.
right. You're right, because I've noticed a person, and I'll just say a person in leadership, and I just noticed that they tend to cater to one side more. They may not realize that happens, but it's to do what? It's to keep that side happy. And I just look like, and it's all like no one else matters, even though they go, oh no, I'm for all, but that's not what comes out of your mouth, and that's not by the actions.
And that's because, sister, that's because they carry the voting power and they fund it. That's just like in Detroit, you got to cater right now pretty much where you got to appear to cater to black people right now. You got to appear to. You can't overtly come out and just be, because it's too many black folks there. They are the majority, so them the ones you got to cater to.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do that in contracts and stuff because that's more sneaky. That's more sneakier. But when it's just like police brutality and stuff, they do. Because they can't be overtly just showing that, because it's too many black people. They overtly show them that they racist, they gonna get ran out of there because they can get voted out. But if you 10% or 90 and 90 is white, and you show the 10% that you racist as elected officials, what could they do to you? Nothing. They can't do nothing to you. But you got to, and so now you run the risk of saying, okay, I know this official don't represent black interests, but it's nothing I can do about him. But I have to keep dumping my money and giving my money to him. That puts you in a messed up situation when you going to the community. It puts you in a powerless situation. That's why our power is us being together. You come to a community, a person exercising something that don't benefit the masses, and we the majority, you can get together with other people such as yourself, and y'all can do something about it. You don't got enough people to do something about it there.
It's why when there's when people of color are the minority in the office, and you look like, why don't you stand up? Why don't you say something? It's because for what? It's not going to do anything. And then they're scared. of any repercussions that may happen to them based on things that have happened to others. So with that being said, why do you think, because like I said, we've had these incidents before. This is nothing new. We've had police brutality in the African-American community. We've had false reports going back. I mean, people have now relating, they still relate things to Emmett Till. So we've had false reports for I don't know how long. That's just, can I say centuries? But what made these most recent events, George Floyd, Cooper, what made all these recent events, Breonna Taylor, eventually they added Breonna Taylor, what made them significant?
I just like I said, I'm not one to easily jump up and start doing the victory dance.
Oh, no victory dance yet.
We have seen protesting before. Take for instance Ferguson, Missouri. When they killed Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, election came up and you only had 5% of the registered voters showed. They protested and they did everything. But the election came up, they voted the same mayor in with the same police chief. So after all the protesting, so that's why it's hard for me to become excited. But do I think people are starting to kind of wake up? Yeah, they talking about voting. You got the brother LeBron James, them getting together to put a voting rights group together. You got all these people talking about vote. But once upon a time they was talking about voting. And we came out in hordes during 2008 when Obama came in. They did the same thing then. It was the vote or die campaign. All the entertainment was involved. And absolutely nothing changed in our community because nobody want to talk about how we got to scientifically do it. So we about to follow that same pattern again. They say we got to go to the polls, teach people how to fill out their form, and not knowing that no matter what happened, how many blacks go to the polls in November, blacks only got 45 votes towards the president.
Even if whatever he wanted to do for the community, yes, that's exactly what I was about to say, because even though if what he was trying to do for the community, they have to realize, first of all, that person's an employee, basically. And they have to then submit things for voting. And if you don't, like you said, if there's only 45 votes, and then there's a majority of everything else, and they're unhappy that you're there, don't want to listen to you, don't want to put any of your agendas forward. And a lot of people are saying, well, why was he doing more for the African-American community? And it's like, well, what could he do? What was going to happen?
Well, what got to happen is Obama couldn't step in and change them. There has to been work. The 45 do got power there. They just not willing it right. The 45 is who giving the Democrats the majority, and the majority is the power. Because the majority means you can pass laws and you can whatever laws you want. That's how that goes.
And so we were not the majority. Just because we had them in there, we were not the majority.
No. I'm saying the majority. What I'm saying, the majority pass laws is the majority who runs the House.
That's what I'm saying. We weren't the majority.
Who you talking about? Who you talking about? We wasn't black people, or you talking about who you talking about? Black people?
Because you're saying how many votes we had, right? And if you're going to get a law passed,
black people can never have the majority.
Okay,
it's 535, and we got 45 out of 535. We can never have the majority. Our power come in whatever party we give the 45 to becomes the majority in Congress, and that's the power. See, we didn't always vote Democrat. We voted Republican before. We switched to Democrat. So whoever party we lean, that's just like right now. I'm gonna give you an example. I just gave you an example. Democrats got 233. Republicans got 197. 45 to the Democrats get them 233. Remove the 45, the Democrats got 188. You get now if the blacks take their 45 and give it to the Republicans, they 197 becomes 242 to the Democrats 188. They done. They don't got no power. We have to wield our power just like that. Okay, we're gonna give our 45 to you. What laws are you gonna enact for our 45 that's gonna directly benefit the Black community? And it's the power to do that because we giving you the power. That's how we gotta wield our power. We gotta hold back, or we just not doing nothing. Y'all figure that out then. Now it's one. Okay, you won't want to give us nothing. Right now, we can go to Joe Biden. If we had them 45, if y'all give me them 45 right now and they come and the community demand that 45 come together right now and represent them right now, we can go to Joe Biden right now and squeeze him right now. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm talking about right now today, sister, we can squeeze them right now. I'm talking about right now, Black people go right now and say, look, if you ain't about to make no laws, y'all not promising no laws ASAP, we gonna make y'all lose. Pull those 45, it's done. Remember, it's 197 to 188 if we pull our 45. The Republicans win. We the factor that makes them win, to make them control the House right now.
So now how do we organize to do that, to make those demands? Now how to organize?
We got to organize every state got to know who their U.S. rep is. And so this just like this. Our U.S. rep is Brenda Lawrence, and it's 16. Blacks got 2 out of 16 in Michigan. Brenda Lawrence and Rashida Tlaib took one of our seats. That's why I was mad about that. We gave one of our electors to an Arab. That's crazy. You know why she had to get our vote? Because she didn't have enough population to get one of them.
No, there's not.
She had to take the Black vote. And that's a major power move. We don't get no power up like that. Won't no Arab community ever do that for us. Listen, we lost our mind doing that. We literally gave her an elector. We made her become an elector and gave her a portion of that 45 power. She wanted that. And that's horrible. So what we got to do is know who they is. Like John Lewis, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, all them is them. When you see them is that 45 that don't represent us. That's them. So what we got to do is we got to come together and teach this knowledge to everybody. See, I was in my Black America report, I got this in there. They shut it down. I was going everywhere, state to state, passing it out. We about to squeeze them right now, 2020, right now. I've been trying to reach out to Puppy. I say, listen, brother, y'all want to stop the hold the vote. You can't hold the vote, holding the population. The popular vote don't win. You can hold them all day. You hold our vote by that 45. To see the final 2 candidates is picked by the electors. You don't even got to go to the poll. Period. In November, all y'all think y'all going to the poll to do to determine who is the most popular person that's running. That don't mean they gonna win an election. They done showed us that. That's all y'all going to do. Y'all going to determine who the most popular, and they'll tell you, just like they told you last time, Hillary is more popular than Donald Trump, but she's not the president. They told you in 2000, Al Gore is more popular than George Bush, but he is not our president. They done told the people this 5 times, and they don't understand it.
Wow.
And they still saying, let's run to the election. We got to get more. So they about to put together these groups to try to get more people going to the election, and that's not even how we vote. Our vote is the 45. Wow. Right now, he already won. Joe Biden won. The only way he don't win, and I'm going to say this, if he don't win, it's because some Democrats are really Republicans, and they pick Republican electors. That's the only way. Other than that, he the president right now.
I was just about to say that, because we know there's been some crazy things happening in the past, and it's like, well, where the votes go?
Well, the only way he don't become, they got 200. Look, you know how every time it's a presidential election, you see that number 270.
Mm-hmm.
That represents that 535. That's why you see 270. That represent the 535 that 270 do. So what happened is they already got 283 out of 240. The Democrats. There's no way that Trump gonna win unless 40 Democrat representatives pick 40 Republican electors. So they have to pick people that they know gonna vote absent they parties. And see, I'll be able to watch it and monitor that, because you ain't gonna hear this from nobody but me.
No, because you're not hearing it. You're not really hearing these things in the community. And these are the things that our young people need to learn. They're just told to do what? Just go vote. And either vote Republican or vote Democrat to make change or not to make change. And like you said, to truly make change, you have to know how that system works. That's one of the things that I would hear certain people say certain things. And I'm like, but that's not how that system works. That person has to present, that person's got to get a vote. And if that vote's not on their side, you don't have it.
We need to be right now, we need to be mobilizing as a people. Touching bases with all our state reps. I got a list of all of them. I'll send that to you too. I'm going to give you a list of every one of them, every state that they represent. It's between 45 and 47 of them African Americans. They represent all 40 million African Americans in this country. And they voted in by the African Americans too.
But we don't make any demands of them. We don't, there's been a lot of people sending letters.
We got to make, it's simple as this. We vote you in to represent us. This is our interest. If you don't represent our interest, we going to vote you out of here and put Congress in there.
Oh, yes.
We control that too. See, that control from the local voting. The local vote control your federal reps, your state reps, your mayors, your prosecutors, your judges, your city council, and all those major officials. It comes from the bottom. We send them to Washington on our behalf. We send them to Lansing on our behalf. We just sending people that ain't representing nothing. That's why we ain't getting nothing. We done with that. It's a new day. We about to mobilize our people, put that 45 together, and we gonna go there we going there. It's a negotiation. We come in peace. Man, we just trying to get something for our community. Who want the power? Plain and simple. Who want the power? Because the power is whoever control the House. Congress. Because you can pass whatever you want. You the majority. You elect the president. So we giving you power. We giving them power right now. I just gave you the actual numbers. That number as of May 2020, the 233. This how it goes, sister. Specifically, it's 233 in the House, Democrat, 197 Republican. It's 51 Republicans in the Senate and 49 Democrats in the Senate. All together, that makes 530 people, 5 vacancies. 530 with 5 vacancies, 280 something Democrats. They running and they about to put a president in. If 40 people don't put 40 Democrats don't pick Republican electors. That's the only way. Other than that, you don't even got to go to the polls. It don't got nothing to do with us. That 45 we got to be talking to right now. What you gonna do? Because you voting for us for president. You picking an elector to cast that vote. You better go to that party and we can go squeeze Biden right now. Right now. If the community line up right now, we gonna pull your power. Because if we pull that 45, they immediately lose the House.
Wow.
Right now, they lose right now. The Democrats become 188 to the Republicans 197. Right now. Today. If they say we pulling back, if you don't enact no laws to stop this police brutality and come and pull my people up out of poverty y'all playing, right now, we done. We gonna just sit here. Like we doing anyway.
Thank you.
We ain't got nothing going fast. Y'all work that out. Y'all working it out anyway. And
So
then
it's
you
really
know
about,
what?
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sister, we got to get this information, this science, because it's voting science to the masses. I've been out here beating the streets for years, and they've been muffling me. They keep me muffled. They play with all my videos on social media, snatch them, remove them, play with the views. They muffling this message.
No, now's the time to get it out. I think, like, it's funny because, you know, George Floyd, as the knee was on his neck and he was saying, I can't breathe, and he was saying certain things. And, you know, they want to say, him calling out for his mama. And I said, that's nothing new. Humanized us. Like, we were not looked at as humans. And I'm going, it's 2020. If we can't mobilize, if you really start listening to a lot of these webinars and start, you know, reading some of these books and really getting what some of the people have thought about, you know, people of color and African Americans for years, you go, you're just now humanizing us? Or did I not look human before, as I was in the stores spending my money, working for your companies, teaching
Right.
not look human? But these recent events humanized us like we've never been bird watching before. I've never, you know, it's like they have an idea of what our lives are like besides what some of our lives are actually like. It's almost though they need to hold on to this image of the struggling mother, or the crack addicted mother, or the downtrodden, you know, Black man, in order to have justification for their thoughts, justification for their feelings. And I'm like this. I'm done justifying. I don't feel the need to. I definitely don't feel the need to explain anything. But like you said, the knee has been on our necks for so long. And I think just seeing that, like, you know, you've never really seen it like that up close, the way the young lady captured that video. And I can't breathe. When they just, even though it became a hashtag, unfortunately, because of what happened, but it's true. African Americans have not been in a place to breathe for so long. And I don't care if you're even an elected official who's African American, they're not listening to you. And we saw that when Obama was the president, the disrespect. And so, like you said, if you don't feel the need to mobilize, to, like you said, write letters to do something, I don't know what that says about our people.
Well, our voting got to be directed properly. It's not really about writing letters. You remember?
Well, like you said, making the demands.
They not just the mayor, but we got to elect mayors,
Exactly.
prosecutors, judges. We got to elect city councils. We got to elect state and federal reps. And then them state and federal reps go to Washington to represent us, to push the power, like I just explained to you. So that's where I vote. Like, we got to exercise voting on our Congress members like the president. Scrutinize that Congress member like their president. Because the Congress member is who gives the vote for president. The Congress that we got in our communities, Black people, is who got to go to Washington with the plan. And we got to all be in one cohesiveness in order to do that, because it's a science that nobody ever identified. It's the only way that 45 can make sense out of 535. That's the only way. Other than that, they get squashed by being a what? Minority. They can't pass the law. They don't even got enough people. They can't even get a law out of subcommittee to the floor. That means that they're not willing their power properly. And we got to hold them accountable, each state that's electing them Congress members, to get on board so that they can go and exercise their power. That's why the message got to get out. It's a very, very difficult message, because you're trying to teach 40 million people how to strategically vote when all of them already voting so crazy. I'm talking about we voting so unscientific, because I'm going to give you an example, the city of Detroit. In 2017, you had 250,000 people went out and voted for Hillary Clinton. The very next year, the mayoral election, you only had 70,000 people that went out and voted. So you see, they voted 4 times more for somebody that they totally can't control or put into office. They voted 4 times more for somebody that they totally vote don't count.
Well, that just goes back to what we were saying before, is, getting people to vote. Like, everyone thinks that the opportunity to vote, or the only vote that counts, is the vote that we do in November, versus, like you said, it's electing your mayors, it's electing your prosecutors. And it's really getting people to really understand that if we can mobilize more, I would say, young people to participate in those votes, I think that could cause some greater change.
I agree with you, but it's gonna take us to come together collectively to put the movement together to do it. That's what the pressure movement, we do that. Because I'm gonna give you an example. They're gonna go all crazy promoting the presidential election, but when it comes to the local elections the next year, it's gonna be so quiet, and people gotta understand it's a reason for that. Because they want to keep you sleep on where your power at. If they got you so exposed to the national election, but they not exposing you to the local election, that should make one question that. Because they don't want you to know where your real power at. If they don't. They want you to keep going. They want to send all our people to the polls to think that they voted Trump out. That's what they about to do. They about to get a movement, and all these people about to run to the polls, and Trump already out because the Democrats, they squashing them by 43. It's gonna be miraculous for the if he pull that off, it's gonna be miraculous right now. Because that's a lot of electors that's gonna defunct. 40 something, that's a lot. Now, some of them defunct. They defunct the last time. You had some Democrat electors defunct in his last election. That's how he got 300, Trump. So that you got plants that's really Republicans, but active. But they need Democrat votes. So you might have like a person that got to run because everybody around them is Democrats. So they got to act like they Democrats to get these people to vote for them, but they vote Republican. These the games that them parties playing. That's why we got to know the science of it as Black people, specifically being the second largest population in this country, but still a small percentage. But our small percentage got power. Can't no Mexicans, can't no Arabs, can't nobody put no 45 reps in there. They don't got the population to do that. But sister, do you have any more questions for me, sister?
Yes. Only thing I think you already hit on this was, money meant for, poor minority communities being misused. And you were talking about those grants. Now, when is this document coming out? Because I've heard about this already from one of your members from the Pressure Movement. And he kind of sent me something, but I don't think he sent me this, because you say you're working on this right now, correct?
Well, the Black America report, I'm actually putting it on Amazon now in an actual pamphlet form, and the funding that's been earmarked to our community since the 60s is broken down in there, each funding. And the beautiful thing about it is that the funding is still coming to this day. So it's not like we talking about something that already came that we got robbed out of. Yeah, it came and we got robbed out of, but the beautiful part about it is that it's still coming, and we can take control of it if we use science. And then the beautiful part about it is that funding, Dr. King literally took a bullet in his head for that.
Wow.
Because every provision that we fighting for, all the string of civil rights bills got King's assassination and the Kerner report as basically the motivation behind it. So all the funding that we fighting for, the block grants, the urban action grants, the HUD funding, Section 3, was the string of civil rights bills that was signed August of '68, which was 4 months after King was assassinated. They literally signed those strings of bills to quiet the riots of his assassination. Literally a bullet for the funding. Right now, today, they just said they about to release $2.86 billion in HUD funding to impoverished communities. Right now, today, that money is from that bullet that went through King's head. A bullet that was put in his head by some Navy SEALs that work for the United States government. He the only leader in our history that you can claim money coming from literally for that bullet. Right now, today, June 2020, that money still coming from that bullet he suffered. That drowned in Whitney Young suffered. That drowned in A.D. King suffered. That's where they signed them bills. They killed them. They did kill them. But they signed them. The bills was already signed.
Wow.
They got them. They got those 535 people to pass laws that benefit us when we wasn't the majority. That's the power that the civil rights movement had. They got them to pass them. Remember, I told you the 45 we trying to get to pass them laws?
Yes.
We didn't have 45. They had the ability to get them to do that. And they lost their life to get them to do that. And we got robbed and raped out of all their money. That's why I run up on every U.S. rep, the ones that march. I said, how dare you march with King John Lewis? You was right there when he was killed. Provisions was given to us. You went and sat in Congress, and you didn't even make sure we got it. It was already given to us. We didn't have to fight for it no more. It's like we don't got to fight for these laws to be passed. He already took a bullet and they passed them.
Wow.
The hardest part was over. All we got to do is receive it, elect people that we can trust to receive it for us, and we ain't been doing it.
Now, you just said a mouthful with that. Elect people you can trust. Now, with that being said, when does it hit Amazon? Do you know when it's going to be released on Amazon?
It should be ready in the next couple of days.
Okay.
I send you the link.
Yes, please send me the link. And I just want to thank you. We went over a little bit. Is there anything else that you want to say, Mr. Jackson?
No, I want to just thank you. No, I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate opening up the dialogue. I just want to say I look forward to working with you because we just ain't. I'm not a speaker. I'm not a person that just talk. I'm a person that truly out here to see change in our community. So I look forward to linking up with you, sister, so that we can make sure that this get out.
Yes. People have been enjoying the show. I'm going to do what I need to do to get this out there even more. And I'm definitely interested in working with you guys. That's why I said, keep the information coming. When this whole thing is over, because I was looking forward to some of the things you guys had coming up. And then this hit. And it was like, okay, what about that meeting that y'all was supposed to have in that meeting? And then now it's like, well, I'll see what happens after the 15th. We're supposed to open up on the 15th. I know slowly, but I can't wait for you guys to get back to your movement, what you're truly doing, putting the pressure on the local officials, and showing people where their money is going. Like when y'all found out all that information about the bonds and how they actually were supposed to have say in the building of the new plant.
Right. For sure.
So all that was just like, I didn't realize they didn't get the people's permission.
No, I didn't. Not at all. Borrow $837 million.
Borrowed.
Yeah.
It's not borrowed.
Went to the banks and borrowed the money and told the banks we're gonna just increase all these people taxes unbeknownst to them. Yeah.
Wow. I can't wait for that document.
Oh, it's coming out. It'll be out soon. But like I say, sister, thank you for the platform. Thank you for being able to express these facts to the people. None of them is my opinion or my views on them. These are just facts. I don't list my opinion on nothing because I know that my opinion don't mean nothing to the
You
overall
know,
world.
I'm going to end it like this, Mr. Jackson. And you said a mouthful with that. You said a mouthful with the trust part. You said a mouthful with that. And one of the best things I heard, and again, I thank you. I thank you for coming onto the show. I'm going to continue to push you guys. Everybody is called the Pressure Movement. If you want to connect with Mr. Jackson on my announcements for both this video as well as for the actual announcement I made the day before, I linked him. So all you got to do is click his name and he's going to pop up, and get with him. Find out about the movement. These guys are out here doing some great things in the community. And with that being said, and I'm going to end it there and end the live stream. When you said, you know, your opinion doesn't mean anything, one of the best quotes I've heard today is from the movie Slim. She quoted, sorry, because my little one, Slim and Queen, the quote was, I have to treat him like a king here because out there he ain't shit. And I know I'm kind of paraphrasing it a little bit, but that quote, when it was said, it made so many things of it hits you. That, to me, if that was not a powerful quote to you in that movie, I have to treat him like a king here, because she's looking at him like he doesn't treat you right. He doesn't do this. It's like, I have to treat him like a king because out there he ain't shit.
That's powerful.
You know. Anyway, peace, love. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm gonna definitely give it to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace and love, sister.